to join with Omaha Public Power District's President and CEO Tim Burke and hear about OPPD's Power with Purpose. If you have questions for Mr. Burke, please use the chat function to submit those and we'll ask them here live in the studio.
Great. Hi, Tim. Can you hear us? Yes. Hi.
Okay.
Hi,
hello.
Tim.
How are you?
Thanks for being here with us today.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you today, but before we begin, do you want to take a minute to talk about OPPD and address how the pandemic has impacted the way you're doing business?
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And thank you very much for allowing us to be on your program today. I had the opportunity to just listen to Jessica and the other music video before. So very cool. So it's good to be on a cool program. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
You know, a lot of people don't think about OPPD as being one of these critical infrastructure kind of first responders, but we truly are. Whether it's our folks in our control rooms and our power plants, our energy control center, our men and women that are out in the field restoring power or making sure we have reliable power. And that's even more important today than it's ever been, where we have more people working from home as we do. We have over 900 employees working from home, but we have a lot of employees in our power plants and out in our centers that are continually doing their work. But we understand the importance of having reliable power where people are working from home, they're educating their kids from home. And so it's been very important for us. We've been in our business continuity plan, infectious disease plan since the end of January, preparing for all the aspects that we need to be prepared for. And our men and women have just done some great things, and our board's been incredibly supportive. And so, you know, a couple things that just happened this past week, you know, our board approved several opportunities for us to help our customers. And one of those are our customer first solutions. And if you want to know more about it, please ask me. But it's an opportunity for us to help our customers where we're waiving late payment fees. We're not doing field collections or disconnections till 30 days after the kind of public health directives are over, and just a number of ways in which we're trying to help our customers through this pandemic and through this crisis, because a lot of them are suffering in a number of different ways, and we recognize that. And so our role is to make sure we live out our core values of our passion to serve, the way we honor our community, and the way we care for each other. So thank you very much for that. And our board voted, to support the waiving of late payment fees and supported all of our other customer first solutions, so we could begin to help our customer owners even more than we have over the last 30 days. So thank you very much for asking that.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Tim, for that information. It's wonderful to know that a local entity like OPPD is stepping in to help out during these hard times. So can you tell us a little bit about OPPD's plans for renewable energy, especially the large solar project that we've been hearing about?
Yes, OPPD has been on a journey for many years. We have over almost 1,000 megawatts of wind generation in our portfolio today, and about 40% of our energy that our customers use come from renewable resources. And we have several programs in place to kind of change that. One of those is Power with Purpose, where we have looked at load growth. Certainly, if you have driven out by Highway 50 and Shram Road, you've seen some pretty significant load growth, very concentrated load growth. And in order for us to serve that, we really began to look at a variety of different ways to do that. And out of that came a solution that our board was incredibly supportive of. It's to add 400 to 600 megawatts of solar and some backup natural gas. But also we're using that backup natural gas to support our ongoing developments at our North Omaha station, which is essentially around the 2023 2024 period, shut down 3 of those old units, but then convert 2 of those from coal to natural gas to continue our pursuit on reducing our carbon intensity and our carbon footprint. And so we are looking at those initiatives right now to look at adding that kind of assets. We presented that to our board in the September, October timeframe. They approved it in November. We've been out in the market getting bids for solar all across our service territory. Matter of fact, we had proposals that came in from 18 different counties across the state of Nebraska. And so we're really pleased with that. And then we're also working with our owner's engineer on some natural gas peaking facilities. These would not be base load facilities. They would only be need during peak loads or during times where we need to make sure our system is balanced and support all of our operations. And so in about the March timeframe, March 18th, we were going to go out in the public and begin to talk about our state of the utility and talk about our power with purpose. But because of the COVID-19 situation, we were not able to do that. And so we are now converting that to a state of the utility online version. And so we'll be doing that starting today. If you go to OPPDlistens.com, you can click on State of the Utility. You can specifically hear about our power with purpose. You can hear about our reliability, resiliency projects, a little bit about economic development, our community involvement activities, our emergency response, some things we're doing around battery storage, around electric vehicles, just a number of things, but also an opportunity for you to give us feedback, to click on one of those slides and give us feedback or ask us a question to try to make that online State of the Utility town hall as interactive as it can possibly be. So I would encourage people to go to OPPDlistens.com and give us your feedback and perspective and learn a little bit about what's going on with utility.
Great, that sounds like a very comprehensive resource. We do have some questions coming into the chat box, but I have a couple more questions for you first, and then we'll get to those. Can you tell me more about OPPD's directive to be a net zero carbon emitter by 2050?
Yes. So for about the last year, we've been working with our board on a variety of new strategic directives. Our board essentially has approved 15 strategic directives, and one of them is around environmental sensitivity. And it's about our commitment to be net zero carbon by 2050. And so we now have developed 5 strategic initiatives that the management team and members of the OPPD family are kind of working on. One of those being our decarbonization strategy, one of those being modernization of our transmission distribution system, a little bit about our technological advancements that we need to make in order to be kind of an integrating utility with distributed energy and to provide customers more information. One around customer engagement and really around customer service. How can we improve that and begin to think about us serving customers maybe differently in the future? And then the third one is really about how do we transform, so to speak, our human capital, our people, our men and women at OPPD that are so committed to what they do in these kind of new jobs and new roles and new capabilities within the organization. So it's that strategic directive that is really driving a number of different activity. But we are breaking kind of that strategic directive up on decarbonization really into 4 segments. It's really around how are we going to deal with our energy portfolio. So as I said before, we have about 1,000 megawatts of gas, about 1,000 megawatts of coal, about 1,000 megawatts of wind, and so we'll be shifting that over the course of the next several years pretty significantly with some of the power with purpose activity that we're doing. But it's also how do we do that more effectively? How do we engage our customers in their energy use differently and how they want to control their own energy? The other one is to think about our community. How can we assist and help our communities really electrify differently, including energy efficiency, including transportation. It's really embedding kind of our activities with our customers, finding out what they are interested in so we can begin to reduce carbon not only in our portfolio, not only within our organization, but within our communities and in combination with our customers. So it's a really a great strategic directive that's has a 2050 kind of deadline, but I would tell you that that's been a kind of an impetus for us to begin to think about Vision 2050. And so we are going to be beginning some work with our board and in a variety of stakeholder processes to begin to think about what this organization ought to look like in 2050. So I'm really excited about that. It really is an impetus for us to think about differently. Our board is actively engaged in that initiative and all the other strategic directives. So I'm really looking forward to the work that we can begin to report out and get our customer owner feedback and community feedback.
Well, I have to admit that as an OPPD customer, I'm listening to all these exciting changes and I'm wondering about potential rate increases. Am I going to see my rates increase?
You know, in 2016, we made a commitment that we would have no general rate increase for 5 years. And we did that because we were going through some pretty significant cost initiatives to reduce cost, but also to become more efficient in how we deliver our energy and services to our customer owners. And so we made that commitment, no general rate increase for 5 years, which means no revenue increase for OPPD. And so we've been able to commit that for 4 years. We'll be rolling into our budget for 2021 here in the next month or so. And our commitment is not to have a general rate increase in 2021. So as we're stepping through all of those initiatives, you know, we believe we can keep costs low, which is part of our mission. It's around affordability, it's around reliability, and it's around environmental sensitivity. And it's really about us finding ways where we can kind of lead the way in order to do that. So our commitment is to make sure that if we have rate increases, we limit them, but it's also an opportunity for us to really commit not to have any, certainly in the next year, but even to look in the future to defer those as best we can.
Great. Well, that's wonderful news. Thank you. It looks like we do have a couple questions that came in the chat box. I think that you probably already addressed the first one about power with purpose. We have a question from David Corbin. It says, can you address the concerns from Sarpy County regarding solar projects, especially since they benefited so much from Facebook projects' dedication to clean energy? I'll let you take that one, Tim.
Well, thanks, David, for throwing me a softball. I appreciate that. You know, we're in conversations with members of Sarpy County and working with them on a number of different things. We've been great supporters of economic development, and this is kind of the back half of that. Once you begin to recruit businesses and get businesses, then you begin to think about how do you serve them and what's the right way to do that. And so we are looking at some generation that may occur in Sarpy County. We're kind of refining that. We're engaging with the county on that, and we are hopeful we'll find some amicable resolution to that as we work through those kinds of things. You know, it's really important from our perspective is because of that concentrated load there by all the growth that's occurred in that kind of 370 and Highway 50 area. For us to have generation near or close to that area for resiliency and reliability purposes, and so we're gonna find ways where we can do that and work through that, and so we're just gonna continue our conversation with the members of the county, the elected officials, as well as the staff there to work through whatever issues we need to work through and help them through that. You know, their concerns are legitimate in that, you know, they don't want any kind of generation to really defer growth and development in that county, because it is important for them to continually grow as they extend other services, whether it's roads or sewer infrastructure, and we certainly get that. But we think there's a way that we can kind of marry these two together and find a good solution. So we're encouraged by that, and hopeful we'll be able to continue that work. So
Great.
thanks, David.
And just a quick reminder for those of you watching at home, we are recording the live stream today, and this will be available on our website later at earthdayomaha.org. So if you missed the first part of Tim talking about the Power with Purpose program, you will be able to go review that later. I think we have time for one more question. It looks like we have a question from Michael Shanka. Good summary about renewable vision, thank you. How can communities engage in their own solar projects? With reference to Sarpy County, the proposed codes seem to be restrictive to solar.
Well, I think that's part of it. Are there ways for us to work together on some of those kinds of regulatory or permitting kind of activity? I think it's I think it's really important to think about the way we produce energy and the way we distribute energy is going to change in the future. And we have to think about that. And, what has been kind of the hallmark of the utility industry is these large base load generating units that generate power. And that is just not how the future of electric generation will occur. Certainly in my mind, my senior management team's mind, certainly our board's mind. And so that's why we're creating this vision of 2050 is really begin to think about that. So, those are ways where I think we can work together, because I think part of our decarbonization strategy certainly is to work with our customer owners to find ways where they can be part of that in their own distributed energy or their own customer owned generation. And with Michael's question, we've worked very hard with our stakeholders on the solar side of the business to make sure that we've changed our process to make it easy, fast, quick, transparent for them. And we'll continually find ways which we do that. So thank you very much for that question.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. And I would encourage you to continue to answer questions in the chat box throughout the day, and encourage our viewers to keep dropping them in if you have other questions. It's very exciting to hear about OPPD's 2050 goals and how you're prioritizing environmental stewardship. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, and happy 50th birthday.
Thank you.
Birthday. Very good. We're glad to be here. Glad to be one of the great sponsors. So have a wonderful day. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
I would say we look pretty good for 50.
Yeah.
Seraphim? Yeah.